Hi, welcome to my series of TIG for beginners. If you have seen my other videos, thanks a lot. Quite a few people have liked them, which is nice. I've had quite a few subscribers, which I'm pleased about. What I'm going to talk about today is, we've already been through buying your welder, your first welder's arrived, you've opened your box, you've got it going. You've probably been a bit disappointed, but your first attempt was probably pretty bad. I have welded in the past. I'm going back in time now. It was in the 70s and 80s when I was TIG welding. So I do have that memory and I do have that experience, but I haven't welded anything since, I don't know, the mid-80s, something like that. So 6 months ago I decided to go TIG welding as part of my hobby, which is building custom bikes. And I was surprised how difficult it was. Lots of videos, but they made it look very, very complicated, which, to be honest, it isn't very complicated, it's not very difficult. So most people go TIG welding to weld aluminium, because if you're welding steel you might as well use a MIG for most things. So you're looking to weld aluminium. Now you've got your welder, you bought a head shield, you probably bought some rods and you had a little go. And it probably didn't go that well, but it's going to get better. I'm going to talk to you today about things you're going to need every time you go TIG welding. They're called consumables, in the same way that a tin of paint is a consumable. You know, with TIG welding you have the same thing, and you're going to need things, and you're going to need to buy a few of them at once. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is your TIG torch. Now, the torch, pretty simple thing, is here. This is my torch. This is the torch that you usually get with most TIG sets. I don't particularly like this torch. I'm going to talk about torch in another video. So here's the parts of your torch that are consumables. One, these are called shrouds or cups. These get broken, they get distorted, they crack, all kinds of things. Mostly they're going to crack if you're using too many amps for the size of the consumables, or you bang it when it's hot and it breaks, things like that. And the other thing you're going to need are the tungstens, which is this thing that you actually use for welding. Now, I'm going to come back to these, the shrouds, cups, whatever you want to call them, in a little while. Now, tungstens, these come in many varieties and many sizes. Variety-wise, back in the day it used to be zirconiated and thoriated. Now things have changed. The two universal ones are serrated and lanthanated, and by either, lanthanated, it's not going to make a lot of difference to you. Lanthanated or serrated, the general purpose, they're going to work with steel and they're going to work with aluminium. Okay, there are two sizes basically I'd suggest you get. One is 1.6, the other is 2.4. 1.6 for smaller stuff at lower amps, for higher amps 2.4. With a bigger one, you're going to run more amps, you're going to get a bigger flame. With a smaller one, you're going to run less amps and get a smaller flame. If you use a small one and the amps are too high, it will melt away, and you'll know. So all you need is the two sizes. You're probably going to get one or two maybe with your torch. It's probably the colour on the end tells you what type it is. There are charts on the internet, go and look at those. So here is your torch. Here's your tungsten. You're going to get these with it. These are called collets. I've not really had much experience. I've never really worn out a collet, although you do get them in the kits you get off Amazon. And that's the next thing you want to look at, is buy a couple of packs of these, serrated or lanthanated. It's not going to make a lot of difference to you. Now, as far as cups are concerned, I think these are a pretty good idea. These are universal kits. They're very cheap off eBay and Amazon. For instance, £20, 25 bucks, something like that. They're not expensive. Some of the stuff in them is no good. It's no good to you. Well, it might be in the future though. Never say never. These little tiny ones for little tiny torches. Mostly you get what's called the 26 torch. That's the most common type of torch. It's a medium torch. It's not for heavy. It's not for heavy work, and it's not for small work. But it will do both. Typically, you're going to get these. This is a short cup. These are much easier to work with because when you get a long cup like that, they sort of move around. If you get my meaning, you know, you're not quite as close in. These are for working up corners. But it doesn't really matter. Get one of these kits. They're great. They're great for the money. I was pretty. When I bought them, I was quite confused because you get things like collets, you get these nose pieces, but it's all quite simple. You get these glass cups. You'll see lots about these glass cups. I actually started using one. They're great. But you don't need all this stuff. This is what's called the gas lens. I think these are great. But don't worry for now. All you want to get it for, is to get some cups. Okay? So you're going to get tungstens, you're going to get some cups. If you buy the cups singly or individually, they're much more expensive. So just buy one of these kits. Pretty cool. So they're the consumables for your torch. So you've got the stuff that will wear out or break on your torch. So you'll be able to replace that so that if you're doing one of your first jobs and your tungsten burns out on you, you've got another one to put in. Or if you're just practicing and you bang the cup and it breaks, it's not going to ruin your day, is it? So that's that. Now what I'm going to talk about are the welding rods. Depending on what you're welding, depends what rods you need. Now if you're welding aluminium, basically a 4043, that's the type of rod, that will weld your aluminium. Simple, that's aluminium sheets. There are some exotic aluminiums or magnesium, and you're not going to do that. We're doing simple stuff. So get some aluminium rods. There are only two sizes you need. Again, 1.6 and 2.4. If I was just buying one, I'd probably buy the 1.6 because you can always throw more in. Although it is useful sometimes with the bigger rods, you can use it as a sort of shield to get you going. Also, if you're filling something big, it's much better with a big rod, otherwise you're going to shoot through these. Don't buy these 300mm long ones off eBay. The reason is, that's the rod. Okay? Now at the moment you think, oh that's alright, but what you're generally going to do is bend the end over. Now the reason you bend the end over is so that when you put it down on the bench it doesn't roll off, and you know which end is hot. Pretty important. So you're losing a bit there, and then as soon as you come down to this, you use that bit, you're going to put it down and you think, oh you've only got that bit left, so you're going to get a new rod. So they're very wasteful, and I think it's crazy, 300mm long. You're going to want aluminium. For aluminium you're going to want mild steel. They're pretty generic. Get some mild steel rods, again 1.6 and 2.4. With a mild steel, if I was you, I don't know, would I buy 2.4? Yeah, 2.4 works fine, but if I was just buying one, but buy both if they're not too expensive, if you've got the money in your budget. But buy long ones, 900mm long, 3 foot long. These are much better. You can cut them in half. You can make a short one if you want to do something delicate, a 300 one if you want to make some 300 ones. But these are much, much better. So buy the big ones, you won't regret it. Okay, the next consumables. The next consumables, believe it or not, are gloves. Because if you're TIG welding, what you don't want to be doing is using dirty gloves with your TIG. You should look after your gloves, put them away in the cupboard when you're not using them, put them away in a bag. Keep them clean, keep them nice. Don't pick up hot metal with them. You know, if you want to pick up some hot metal, you want some thick gloves, or you want to use a pair of pliers or something like that. So, here are 2 sets of gloves. These aren't the big heavy welding gloves that you see on Amazon and eBay. These are goat skin gloves. These are traditionally used for TIG welding. If you're welding some big stuff, you had a big 300 amp, 350 amp water cooled set, you're going to need some heavy gloves. For the stuff we're doing, which is generally, if you're on single phase, is 200 amp welder, 150 amps on AC, the most you're going to use, you don't need heavy gloves. These are traditional goat skin gloves. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, surprisingly. These are off eBay. I got these look great for the money. But here's the problem with them. They're not long enough, they're not big enough. These are XL, these are L, I haven't got huge hands, and they are just useless. They must be Chinese hands. You see, they're quite stiff because they're too tight. In the ends of the gloves, where they stitch them, it's quite crude in the end of the glove, so they've got lumps of leather inside and they're not comfortable. So from that point of view, these are really difficult to use. It's hard to hold the torch and it's hard to hold the wire. They're very restrictive. Now, the easier it is to hold the torch, the better. I found these at my local hardware store. These are kind of goat's leather, but they're so soft. They're just absolutely lovely. There's no leather bunched at the ends. You can't really see that much of a difference. So you need to try some on. And these are just lovely and soft and they're just amazing. I've had these quite a while. I've probably had these 6 months. You see they're a little bit dirty, but they've got no oil on them. This is just from handling the rods and handling the torch. Look after your gloves, put them away, get nice gloves. Price isn't really a thing. These cost £11, about 14-15 bucks. Because you're paying £30, $40, doesn't mean to say you're going to get a better glove. Get some off Amazon. If they don't feel lovely and nice and light, send them back, get some more. Once you find a mate you like, buy 2 or 3 pairs. Then, if you accidentally pick up, without thinking, some hot metal, wreck your gloves, or tear them, or burn them, or whatever, it's not going to spoil your day. You're going to be able to get on with your practice, making your bits, earning some money, whatever you're doing. So, gloves, they are consumables. The next thing you need to do, to get as well, are the consumables for your head shield. These are these things. Now, what you've probably done is done what everybody does, what I did as well. You bought a head shield off eBay or Amazon, an auto-darkening head shield. That's another problem, isn't it? Until you've actually tried it, you don't know if it's any good. And price is no guarantee of quality, because they're made in China, they're all made in China. And you bring them here and put a badge on them, and they're worth twice the price of an unbadged one from China, not necessarily so. But I'm going to talk about head shields another time. But what you do need to do is look after your helmet, your head shield, keep it somewhere, don't leave it hanging on the welder, put it in the cupboard, put it in a bag. That's very important. One of the most important things about TIG welding is being able to see what you're welding. Once you can see clearly what you're welding, your life is going to be better, your learning experience is going to be better. Now, you're looking after your helmet, but things happen, you know. You put your helmet down, it falls on the floor, it scratches the plastic, you might get some grit on it. Keep your helmet clean, dust it off gently, use tissues to clean it or lens wipes, don't use a rag, don't use your gloves, anything like that. But when you do scratch it, which you will do, because we're working in it's the environment we're working, get these. Now these are replacement plastics for the front and the back of the lens. Don't worry if you can't get ones that fit your helmet. I buy mine on Amazon, by the way. If you can't find ones that fit your helmet, buy bigger ones. These are plastic, not like the old days where they were metal. Well, sorry, not metal, where they were glass. Buy a pack of these, the cheapest chips, and cut them to size. Cut them with a pair of scissors so that you've always got these on your head shield. Okay, so that's your head shield, consumables, your gloves, consumables for your torch, your welding rods. Away you go. That's all you need. Now, in my next video, I'm going to talk about things that will make your experience as a beginner better. I'm not going to talk about how you weld or anything like that. I'm talking about things you can actually buy for not very much money that will make your experience better. So please subscribe down there, and then you will know when that video is available. Thanks for watching.